So missed appointments aren't usually a tech problem. They're a confirmation discipline problem, and it can compound into no shows, idle trucks, customer dissatisfaction and frustration. And so what I want to show you is what days of the week, what time frames are your confirmations breaking, and we're going to break it down by date range, by week, and then also have a minimum acceptable rate. And then I'll show you how to do some heat maps. This is the same data, it's just one has a benchmark. And so it makes it a little bit easier to analyze data. Okay, so I might go a little bit faster because I got a lot to cover and I don't want to have a 30-minute video. So this is a data set. And so you can recreate this from your service type and export, or you can have, somebody manually entering in the data. Or if you need some help with something like this, just let me know. You can, email me and I'll give you my email here in a bit. Or there's the link in the bottom that you can fill out to set up a time to chat. So the green here are the formulas, and it's always good to do the formulas on the outside of the data, meaning you can do it at the very beginning or at the very end, but it's usually bad practice to do it in the middle of the data set. And the reasoning is because if you're going to add new data, say every week, every month, however often you're going to do it, then you're going to have to add columns to, or copy and paste one column at a time or 5 columns at a time. And so if you do it off to the side, still part of the same table and part of the same range, then you can just easily add new data and all the formulas can easily drag down. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to find out, was this appointment confirmed? And this is a very simple formula. It's just if. So if this is blank, then it means no, it was not confirmed. But if it's not blank, then it means yes, it was. So the formula is just equals if this is blank, then no, otherwise yes. And so you can see the formula here. And I typed all the formulas already just to save some time and just to show you, and that way it's a lot easier to walk you through this. So the next thing we need is we need a week number because we're going to break this down by week. So that's just equals week num. That's the function in Excel. So I mean equals week num, and then open your parentheses, and then go on over to the service date. When was the date of service? And then close your parentheses, and then you can press enter. And the next one is what is the weekday? And so that's a text function or the text function. So equals text, and then back over to the service date, and then comma, and we want 4 D's for day of the week. And that's going to give you the weekday. And the next thing is the time window bucket. And what that's going to do, that's on the scheduled window start, right? So when is the scheduled time, and then what is that bucket? And this one is going to look a little crazy. It's not as hard as you think. So essentially, we're just getting the hour. So hour of the starting scheduled window time, right? Like, hey, we'll be there from 8 to 10. So it's 8 in this example. So we're saying if the hour is greater than or equal to 6, which is 6 a.m., and less than or equal to 8, then put 6 to 8 a.m., right? If it's greater than 8 but less than 10, put 8 to 10 a.m., right? So it's putting it in 2-hour buckets. But you can change this. Maybe you have 3 hour. And then also if it's none of these, say it's after 20, which would be 8 p.m., then it's outside the window. And so that's that formula. Okay, so now we have all the formulas. What we need to do now is we need to create this here. And so what I'll do is I'll just copy this. Let me pull this up a little bit. So I'll just copy this and put this over here in cell B1 on the starting point. I mean, you can type it in, and if you want this file, there's a download link underneath this video, or above, I guess, depending on where it's posted. Or it's also in the book as well. Okay, so the week number, what we want is we want a unique list of the week number here. So you can just click, type equals unique, and then click here. What you'll see, let me zoom in just to show you what I'm doing. Ooh, so, geez. So way over here, okay. It's like you'll see the crosshair of the mouse. I have to do it with the formula. Equals unique. So you'll see you see how the mouse right here, it changes. So that's what we want because we want to highlight this. We don't want to highlight the column. We want to highlight the range of the table so it'll be underneath the week. And so now you have the unique list of the week number. And now what we want to do, and I'll just copy and paste this formula, but essentially what we're doing is we're going to find the minimum date of where the week number is 1, and then find the maximum date, and then we're just going to create a simple range that's going to look, just like this. I know this looks like a complex formula, but we want the date range here, and so I'll just do equals this, but I'm going to take this out and put C2. I know it's a little bit confusing. Here. And now we get a range. And so I'll explain this real quick. So what this is saying is find the minimum date in the data set where the week number is 1, and that's January 1st, right? And then format it like this: month, day, year, year, right? A 4-number year instead of, say, 25, 26. And then add a dash between the two, and then do the same thing but find the max date. So what is the minimum date for week 1 and what is the maximum date for week 1? And you get January 1st to January 4th. And it's a little counterintuitive for this one because all the other ones are going to be, like, this is only 4 days. And then you have 5 days here, which would actually be 6 days because including the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? Because Sundays aren't counted. In this data set, there's no Sundays, or there might be a couple Sundays, but overall, it's not. We're out working on Sundays. But it's just to help you see what that what date range that is. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to count the number of confirmed, and the way we do that is we need to count if, and then how many of these are yes, right? How many are confirmed? And then the next thing we want to do is we want to do it by the week. So then we want to make sure that this week here equals 1, right? And so in other words, for the first week of the year, the 9 were confirmed. And then we want the same exact thing, but no's. So we can just copy and paste that formula, but just change this to no. And then you get 1. So the confirmation rate here is 90%, right? It's 9 divided by the sum of both of them. So equals this divided by the sum of these two, because there were 10 total and 9 were confirmed. And then if you press Control Shift and the number 5, you'll get a percentage. Okay, so just highlight those 3 and then double click here, and then everything drags down. And then let's say we have a minimum acceptable rate of, say, 80%. I'm going to press Alt-HAC to center it. But if we want to make sure that it changes, like we want to make this dynamic, meaning if we change the top one, everything changes. So when we add it to the chart, everything, the chart can change. So you can do a pretty simple sensitivity analysis. So just do equals below the number 80, or whatever number you put, do equals G2, the number above. And then we can center this, and then you can double click. And now you have a dynamic range. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is just create this simple chart, and it's gonna show just the minimum acceptable range, or the confirmed rate, and then the minimum acceptable range. And then if you want, you can add the date range as well, and I'll show you how to do that. I didn't do it on the initial example, but I'll show you how to do that. So click on date range. You can highlight the whole range like this, and then press Control and highlight the next two, the two on the right. Go to Insert. You can do Recommended Charts, and then it's the first one. Or you can go to All Charts if you don't see it. Go to Combo, and then it's there. And now you have the dates just like that. And so you can see, we can call this appointment confirmation rate by week. And then the last thing I'm going to do on this chart is I'm just going to change this range, the 0, and I'll double click and I'll make it, say, 50. So if you double click here and then you click the 3 columns here, go to number, and then, oh, sorry, go to access options, and then change the minimum to 0.5 and change the maximum to 1. And then it just gives you a better overall picture. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do are the heat maps, and the heat maps are going to be, days of the week, and then the bin. If you remember, we did the bin before of the time of the appointment schedule time. So we can just type in the word Monday, and then we can just drag this down, and it'll automatically fill. And you can go to Sunday, but I'm pretty sure there's no. Okay, there is some Sunday data here, but it's not much Sunday data. Okay, so then we want this time bin, and the way we can do that is the same way we did it before with the unique function. So equals unique, and then go to the time window bucket. Again, make sure the crosshair of the mouse sort of changes, and the AG is not highlighted. And then press enter, and you have a unique list. I'm going to copy this and then Control-Shift-V to paste it. And the reason is because I need to change this sequencing, right? So it's like the first one is going to be, say, 8 to 10 a.m., and then you have 10 to 12, 12 to 2, 2 to 4, and then 4 to 6. Okay, so now just copy this, and then right here to the top in the right of Monday, right-click your mouse and then press ST, and that's going to transpose the dates across ST. And then I'll just widen this a little bit. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to see the appointment confirmation rate based on the day of the week. So we're going to count ifs. So how many days from Monday? So we have there, and then we need to click on Monday here, comma, and then we want to do confirmed, comma, yes, comma, and then we want to do the time window bucket, comma, and then here. And so we have 28, in this 1 year of data, we have 28 times that were confirmed for Monday between 8 to 10 a.m. But now we need to divide this by the total number of times, right? We need to divide this by how many Mondays from 8 to 10 a.m. So essentially all we have to do is divide this and then take out the red. Take out that time. No, sorry. Take out the yes. Take out the yes, because it's only yes or no, right? So we get 0.8. And that's how you do it. And so now we can just, fix this to where we can copy and paste it and drag it down. So we need to lock some of these. So wherever you see blue, just put a $sign before, and wherever you see red, before the letter, then wherever you see red, put a $sign after. And then if we did this right, you can copy and paste across. And what I'll do is I'm going to copy this and paste it again. Okay, so to conditional format, just highlight this range, conditional formatting, color scales, right? So high is good, high is green, low is in. And then here you could just type in, say, 85%, and then highlight this range. Sorry, I'm going to go a bit fast. I have 50 seconds. And then go to highlight cells, less than, and then click here, 85. And now it's dynamic. And this is also dynamic. If you change this to 80, it'll automatically change. But anyways, that's this one. So if you have any questions, questions at databoards.io. Again, there's going to be a link in the description if you want to hop on a call, if you want, an extra set of eyes on your data. But if none of that is interesting, then I will see you in future videos.